and blood. Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
The threat of war looms.
There is no war so hateful as a war between kin.
I mean to fight this war and win it.
I will not be thought weak. I wish to spill blood.
And no war so bloody as a war between dragons.
And here we go. Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms After Show. And tonight, of course, we are joined by none other than my pal, my buddy, Lord Ravener. And I'm looking forward to diving into this. You and I haven't had a chance to talk about episode 1 yet, really.
Right.
And I know that you're familiar with the source material just like me, so I know you are, we have expectations heading into the show as to what Dunk is supposed to be like, what Egg is supposed to be like. So I'm looking forward to hearing your opinion and what you thought of this interpretation and this adaptation. But yeah, here we go. Episode 1 is in the books. We'll probably take a little peek at episode 2 as well. But so far, I think it's off to a pretty good start.
I agree. Yeah. I'm really enjoying it so far. Like I was going to start by saying, I like big butts and I cannot lie. There's some butts in this,
some butts.
This episode, pretty good butt, some of that, but I tell you what, the first time I watched it a second time today, and I've kind of, like certain things that I didn't like kind of, I've kind of accepted, or I understand why they need to be there. This one, for a first episode, there are a lot of things that are in place because they need to be in place, and I'm not gonna criticize it for that. It is exactly as it needs to be. So, and they've changed some order. They've changed the order of certain things, like the closing scene with the falling star, or while they're falling asleep. That actually happened before Duncan went in to meet with Plummer about signing up for the tourney. Just certain things, but narratively, and there's a lot of characters that take the place that are there because they need, like the prostitutes. I mean, I guess we'll get into all that stuff. The seamstresses.
The seamstresses, yeah.
Yeah, they're there to provide narration.
Narration, comedic relief at times. Yeah,
they explain things, and him talking to his horse. A lot of the book, and this is going to be a recurring theme for me, and I'm going to be that guy. Like, well, in the book they did this, in the book they did that. He talks to his horse a lot. A lot of it's in his head, so they have to find a way to put that out into the world.
Yes.
Out for us, and a lot of it's for our benefit. And that's fine. I accept it. So far, I am very happy with episode 1. Certain things didn't ring true. Certain things struck a dull note for me, like the very beginning scene, the pooping. Certain things, but I'm not gonna.
That scene has been very controversial. It's been a controversial one, that opening scene. And we'll definitely, we'll dive into that too.
I went on a big long monologue. Let's follow the format of the show. What you got for me, man?
No, it's totally fine. Totally fine. I love it. I love how we're diving right into it. That's what we're here to do, after all. Absolutely, no, totally fine. But yeah, no, that the opening scene was very controversial for some. Some people liked it, some people didn't, and even George, I guess, when he first read it for the first time, he was kind of taken aback by it, the way he kind of described it. But apparently, it was something that Ira Parker really wanted in there, and you even hear him in one of the behind the scenes talking about it, and he says, "Hopefully, they forgive me." Having kind of a humorous take on it. And it's been interpreted in many different ways, which we'll talk about as well, what exactly that scene meant. I think I know what it meant, but there's a lot of hidden undertone there that some people have been picking up on that they think it might have been referring to. So we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
But yeah, interesting way to start the show. To start, I mean, on the surface, I get what they were going for.
Right.
You know, you start to hear this Game of Thrones triumphant music, and then boom, it just cuts off to Dunk taking a dump. Dunk's dump. And that's kind of meant to signify that this is not going to be Game of Thrones. This is not going to be House of the Dragon. This isn't going to be this big, giant, sprawling epic. This is going to be a little dirtier, a little muddier, which is exactly what Dunk and Egg is. So I get what he was going for, but I feel like there was other ways you could have conveyed it than just the
that was a little extra for me,
a little too much.
And I know what you're saying too. I mean, they wanted to set the tone. They wanted to say they wanted to set
this is not Game of Thrones.
But man, the thing is though, I mean, putting it as an exclamation too. They had, like you said, they had the rising thing, the swelling of the Game of Thrones theme, the epic thing, and then it's like, oh, come on, man. Yeah. And I understand that they want to set the tone. And ironically, the same way that George Martin in the game, because this was released 2 years after the original Game of Thrones. I think it was like, this came out in 98 and Game of Thrones came out in 96. So the same way that George Martin was deconstructing traditional fantasy with his, shades of dark world. I don't say shades of gray. Everybody's a shade of dark in this.
Different shades of dark.
Yeah. But it's kind of like they're kind of like deconstructing his epic world with just and there's not a whole lot more of that, at least in the book. Of obviously the pooping isn't in the book either. But I think they are going for the definitely a lighter tone, little, and I hope they don't overdo it. I remember on the pre-show, one of my concerns was that they make Dunk into an absolute buffoon, where, and that I don't want him, because the thing is, I mean, it's one thing to be awkward and relatable and, clumsy in some aspects, and he is big and he bumps his head in, a lot of times, but there's a point at which, like, when your hero is the butt of every joke, then pretty soon, almost through osmosis, the audience loses respect for them as well. And I don't want that to happen. But again, this is episode 1, so we've got a long way to go. I really like, as they say, I think Dunk is one of the few really good characters, and you can, when you talk about knighthood and all this other stuff,
he embodies it, like true knighthood, true chivalry, something that, and this is the thing, Dunk grew up on all these stories. He thinks all knights are like this. And now that he's not with Sir Arlen, now that he's not being kind of shielded by Sir Arlen from what the real world looks like, he's seeing that's not the case. He's seeing that he might be, a rare kind of case in this setting where he thought that is what a true knight is supposed to be. So that is what he is, but he's seeing that's not really the case.
Right. And it gets to the point where, when he assumes his, Dunk is assuming his knighthood. He kind of like takes it. I think we know that he's lying. Yeah.
I kind of like the way what the show did. It was always a little bit ambiguous in the book where, people always speculated, did Sir Arlen really knight Dunk right before he died? Or is this something that Dunk just said, so he could kind of make a name for himself? So, the show didn't leave it ambiguous at all. They straight up showed us that no, he did not get knighted by Sir Arlen. Sir Arlen died, and he just said he got knighted.
Right. You know what Dunk is? Dunk is the guy that has like 140 credit hours in college, but doesn't have a degree. He didn't
He's
get them all in the right place.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, do you have a degree? I don't, but I got the credit hours. I just didn't, I didn't have the residency requirement or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, it's some interesting changes. Definitely some interesting changes. Like again, the whole poop scene. But yeah, we got Fukin Cowboy in the house. Welcome, Fukin Cowboy. I see Wolf Spear hanging out. What is up, Zane Comics? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. I see Minerva in the building. Delilah, welcome. Wolf Spear says, I have a problem with Dunk spending his whole life with a knight, but doesn't act like one. Yeah, he acts quite different than most knights.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely say that. We got Blue in the house as well. Welcome, Blue. I loved it as a whole. Awesome. Definitely didn't need the visual of the. I think that's my problem with it too. I feel like if you want to convey that scene, I feel like there is a better way to do it in the sense where. Let me pull this up and I'll show you what I mean. Show you exactly what I mean. Let's pull the episode up here. All right, let's get to that scene. Now here you get Dunk. This starting to get triumphant. You start to think it's like okay, you hear the Game of Thrones theme song start to play, and it's like okay, here we go, we're going on that journey again, and then boom, expectations subverted. I feel like if you have to do that scene, cut to this shot only. Don't show the next shot. Like the next shot goes a little too far when we actually get to see Dunk just bare ass and taking a dude.
Right.
I feel like if you have to convey this scene, cut it to right here and that's it. Don't show us the full on deed.
Right. And I think, but they're trying to undo it. They're trying to set the tone that I hope it's not. The thing is, man, and you know how much I despise Hollywood writing, and it's that I'm cautiously afraid of where they're gonna go, because if all these guys, if all the writers, at least if they do this every episode where they try to put in their little flair of what they think is funny, and man, it isn't. It's but again, first episode, I'll accept it. You know what? Actually, before this one, when he was burying Sir Arlen, they kind of did Arlen dirty so far. Do you think?
I don't know yet. It's I feel like it's a little too early to tell how they're going to exactly portray Arlen. They definitely portrayed him as being a knight that definitely rose Dunk up in a rough manner. I mean, he's we see him getting beat left and right for shit. Right. So that was pretty funny. But I don't know. I feel like it's a little too soon for me to judge how they're going to portray Sir Arlen as a whole. I need to see a little more.
Okay, yeah, I hope they soften him, or at least get to the more nurturing side, or at least the training side of Sir Arlen. In future episodes, because I think that's what I didn't like, was that was his introduction to, and of course it did correspond to what Dunk was saying as he was speaking words over Arlen's grave. You only hit me when I deserved it, but then having except for that one time, but all we saw was a montage of
smack.
Because I think Arlen was he was, and then the other time we see him in this episode is when Dunk is asking him if he'll be a knight, and Arlen
he just spits in the other direction, doesn't even answer him.
But I think there's more to him because Arlen was one of the thing that I took away from the books, and I mean most of this other stuff that they showed in the show, I didn't really recall or it didn't stick in my mind. The thing I liked about Arlen is he was the one that would tell Dunk, "Don't name your horses because it hurts less when they die," in a joust or in battle. But yet he named all of his horses.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's the kind of like
I think
contradiction, the kind of I like that in a character. And
yeah. Well, I think Sir Arlen, he seems the like quintessential type where he's do as I say, not as I do type knight with Dunk, at least where Dunk is concerned.
This is what you need to do if you're going to be a good knight. This is what you need to do. Now I don't do it. I don't do it,
but this is what you need to do. Yeah, maybe a little of that aspect, maybe. I can see. Series is definitely nothing like Game of Thrones. You got all this in the house, dropping a like. What is up? All this, good to see you, my friend. We got is Brynden Rivers alive at this time of the story? We should be seeing a lot of other characters. Brynden Rivers, yes, he's alive during this time. We should see quite a lot of characters. Maester Aemon from the main Game of Thrones show is the brother of Egg. So we're not, we're far removed, but not too far removed from the original main series. The Blackfire Rebellion, for instance, takes place around a little more than a decade before Egg. And Brynden Rivers was kind of instrumental in had a hand in the Blackfire Rebellion, Bloodraven, Brynden Rivers, Aegor Rivers, and all of the Blackfire bastards. But he's alive at this time period, and we could potentially see him. Well, I'll just say that.
Yep. And they say they that's a recurring theme through at least the first two stories. How many eyes does the Bloodraven have? 1,001.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Even at a very young age, when he was just the mere, this is the time when he's, Master of Whisperers and stuff like that, like Varys's title in Game of Thrones. Even at a very young age, though, he had that reputation of this kind of sorceress, kind of magical, more, than a human type being that has eyes and ears everywhere. But yeah, there we go. But yeah, episode 1 starting off, it's it was definitely, it created a lot of, and maybe that's why Ira Parker put it in there. It definitely, if nothing else, created a lot of discussion around that if nothing else.
Yeah, I almost want it to be like at some point. I mean, when they know the show's going to end, he actually gets the full Game of Thrones theme. When it is epic, it is triumphant.
Yes.
When he really has achieved.
When he earns it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he needs to earn that theme, as he earns his true knighthood, which he'll earn through this story.
One thing, another little thing that I liked, and I think we might see it in this episode coming up. I don't know. I haven't, obviously I haven't seen it. I haven't even really, other than what they showed at the end of, I think you did a
breakdown of the trailer for what's to come. Yeah,
but that was for the whole season, so we're seeing
the
stuff
we're
not going to see. And that would be a spoiler if you really, if you went frame by frame, you could see a lot of stuff if you weren't already
way too much in that trailer. Way too much.
Yeah. One thing I did like though is of all the people that treat him poorly, I mean, there's the people like Raymond Fossaway, he's going to be the friend. There's the guys that are going to be the friends. There's the guys that are going to be the enemies.
Yeah.
But Dunk's experience with the other sirs, the other not just landed nobles, but the knights and stuff. One of the few positive experiences that he had was when and this is, I'm pulling this out of the book. I don't know if we'll see it, but once who is it that comes in there? Not Maegor. Is it Maegor? Not Maegor. The one that tells Dunk. Well, Mykar. Yeah, when Mykar comes, he has 2 Kingsguard with him, and Dunk introduces him to the Kingsguard, and I mean, I fully expected in the book and probably in the story for them to be very haughty, very rude or whatever, and they weren't. They were like, well met, Sir Duncan,
Yeah.
and they were actually, you know, cool. They were actually cool with other people, not comically villainous or overtly hostile to.
Like Ariel was. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
even Dondarrion, Manfred Dondarrion was just
Yeah.
like, and he was more. Dondarrion was a dick, but he was more like just like, what's it to me? You're
Yeah,
nothing.
what's it to me type thing, like, come on, and that's the thing, Dunk doesn't even realize, like, what he's asking, like, he in his mind, he thinks, like, "Oh, Sir Arlen served under your lord, how can you not remember him?" Like, and this is the naivete that Dunk has about the world, that he
Right.
doesn't know how the world works, really. But yeah, I mean, Dondarrion let him down easy, for sure.
Yeah.
Could have been
Yeah.
a lot worse.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about in this episode. Oh, I liked like when Dunk was talking to his horses. Again, that's a substitute for
That
him
was good.
being in his mind. He talks to
Yeah,
his horses all the time as a
yeah.
narrative substitute for just being in his head and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
But he talked about turning outlaw or I could do,
I
beggary
could
or
sell all
outlawry.
these horses, but that'll eventually just turn to outlaw or beggary. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's funny though, because I mean that's super relatable. Because I don't know if you do, but I know I do. At times, you're like you wonder about Breaking Bad, like what you would do
Breaking
if you
Bad.
break bad. It's like would I be a good criminal? What kind of crime would I do? How good would I do at it? What would I gain? To what would I give up? And you're like, usually, wisely, I've turned with that my mind from those pursuits, but it's like, but that, I mean, when you are desperate, when you're down to, because he's basically at step zero. He's
Yeah.
he's got to work his way up to square one, basically at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
He does. He
and
does.
I think, and it might in this first introduction, Sir Arlen's death might have been, you could almost see it as the first introduction to the realities of the world, because he didn't die
Yeah.
gloriously in battle. He didn't die on the
He
on
died
the list.
cold
Yeah,
and alone on the side of the road,
yeah,
penniless, with no family,
yep.
no, nothing to pass down to Dunk other than these 3 horses in his arms.
Yeah, it was cold one day, wet the next day, or wet one day, cold the next day, and he caught a chill and died. And
Gone.
it's like, wow, and that's how it goes. That's how it goes. That's more realistic than anything,
You
you
know?
know.
Yeah, it does seem like Sir Arlen, to a certain degree, sheltered Dunk from the harsh realities of what Westeros is really like.
Mhm.
Not only just what knights are like, but what the entire world is like. Because that, how naive he is about how the world really works once he's on his own. Like, he's seeing everything for the first time. It almost feels like he's a baby in episode 1, seeing the world for the first time.
Mhm.
And that definitely tells me that, yeah, Sir Arlen maybe kind of sheltered him to a certain degree, maybe a little bit to Dunk's detriment. Maybe Sir Arlen thought that he was trying to protect him from the world, but maybe really he just wasn't preparing him good enough,
Right.
which is clearly what the case really is. He wasn't preparing for the harsh realities of the real world, of Dunk being alone in the world. Sir Arlen had to know that Dunk was going to be on his own at some point. He was a very old man. Yeah, he
Mhm.
didn't really prepare Dunk for that time, for when he is on his own.
Yeah, and I think it stands out a little more because they did have to age Dunk up just to get a character that could look like physically like Dunk. Because in the second book is 18 months after the first book, and
Yeah,
he mentions to the Red Widow that he's just shy of turning 18.
18, yeah,
So basically Dunk in this one is about 16 and a half,
16 and a half,
which
right around Rob's age. Yeah.
yeah. And that would also kind of explain at least in the book why young Fossaway, why Raymond Fossaway gravitated towards him, because they were
Mhm.
a lot more similar of
Closer in
age.
age. Yeah.
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 Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, with the shows, sometimes you see they get aged up or aged down, and it happens. It happens
Yeah,
sometimes.
and I don't think they had much of a choice because I think
Yeah,
I can't remember which back I watched one interview and I don't even know who the guy was, but he said basically that size who also can act,
that can
who's
also
also
act.
yeah, and who's also I mean somebody that size, would
Who can
be
act and
could
is
be
athletic.
yeah, but not muscle bound,
Yeah.
like the mountain or like, you didn't want somebody who's like that. He has the look of it. Egg, I like Egg too, man. I that
Yes.
kid. And you know what?
Dexter's great. He's
Yeah.
great as Egg. He's really good.
Dunk is supposed to be 6'11". He's a 1 inch shy of 7 feet.
Yeah, closer to
Um,
7 feet than 6. Yeah, as they say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nah, going back, I like Egg, and one of the things about him is that super high pitched voice, and it didn't really occur to me until I was watching this one. I was like, he's got his high pitched little boy voice, like an 8-year-old boy. But I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but I noticed this a lot and it's been for years in movies and commercials, especially. But they'll get a little kid with a scratchy voice, like a kind of like a gravelly,
Mhm.
because I know it does get irritating sometimes when you hear that high pitched chirping of a little kid,
Yeah.
when you don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So they put that in commercials. They don't want to irritate their customers, so they'll find a kid with a scratchy voice or like kind of gravelly voice. But over the years, that's become almost all we see. So we got these 8-year-olds that sound like they smoke a pack a day,
Mhm.
Marlboros. But now we finally got a little kid with a high pitched voice, and he's really um he's walking that fine line between being like precocious and smart, but not annoying like a
Yeah.
42-year-old screenwriter. Like, you know, so far the kid, the actor, and the lines that they've given him have hit for me. They've done
Yeah.
really good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think he's doing great. I think Dexter was a great casting for Egg. I mean, Egg is a very interesting and particular role. It's not like you can just pick some kid out, shave his head, and plop him in as Egg. You have to
Mhm.
find the right kid. And I do think they did. I mean, he has that witty kind of cleverness personality to him. And Ira Parker did talk a little bit about in some of the behind the scenes that the show version of Egg is going to be even maybe a little bit more clever than he was in the book, and he's clever in the book, especially
Mhm.
for his age. But apparently, they're going for an even more, a little bit of a witty and clever kind of Egg on the show, even a little bit more. So that's going to be interesting to see, because yeah, I think he fits it perfect. I think he has that kind of that wise beyond your years type knowledge that Dunk
Yeah.
really needs. And I think Egg has that real world experience where he knows what the world is really like.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that Dunk is going to really, really need. I think he's going to learn a lot from Egg about how the world really works, about how
Right.
knighthood really works. And in turn, Dunk's also going to teach Egg a lot about
Yeah.
what having real knighthood inside of you really is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that they're a great pairing. So you had to get this casting right. That was vital, and I think they did. I think they went out and got really, really great actors for both of these roles.
Yeah, dynamic is gonna be fantastic. I love that Egg has his expertise. He was, I mean, given his background and stuff, there's stuff that he knows that Dunk wouldn't have had access to, and he is more knowledgeable in a certain sphere
Mhm.
than Dunk will ever be, and Dunk puts that to good use throughout their interactions in the show. But yeah, but as far as coming up from Flea Bottom, Egg, even if even it's like when you're book smart but not worldly smart. And
Yeah.
there is an aspect to the worldly knowledge that Egg will have that Dunk doesn't. But yeah, you're exactly right, though. Dunk will have kind of a more of a nuts and bolts ground level view, and
Mhm.
I think Egg would have been insulated from that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Dunk did come from Flea Bottom himself. I mean, he came from the gutters of King's Landing, and we saw in the preview for the what's to come that they're going to be going all the way back. We're going to be getting flashbacks to all the way when Dunk was an orphan living in King's Landing, and we see how he was living picking apart battlefields for horseshoes to sell because it was so bad for him. So yeah, I mean, he's seen the uglier part of life as a child, and that's something that Egg has been kind of insulated from, being a princeling, for sure. Wasn't Sir Arlen in his 50s, these early 60s, I believe. I believe I believe like the official is like 149 or 149 between 153 AC is when he's supposedly born, and he dies in what 209 AC. So yeah, late 50s he would have been about Sir Arlen, which in Westeros time is like living to fucking 100.
Yeah, he said he was alive. Well, he saw the last dragon, right? The last living
He would have
dragon.
been alive for the last dragon. Yes, he would have been. Yep.
And it
He
was
would have been alive.
stunted. It was small and stunted.
Small and stunted. Yep.
He told Dunk a story about that, or Dunk telling him that story.
Remember him telling him, yeah. Yeah, 50. I mean, 50 is very old in Westeros. That is super, super old. That's a very old grizzled man in Westeros standards for sure. Yeah, Egg has been awesome so far. I feel like he understands his character. I feel like he does. I mean, and that's a very important part especially when you have a show like this that isn't really heavily reliant on big action pieces and big dramatic pieces. Like, this is a very grounded, character-driven story. And if you don't nail the characters in a character-driven story, you're ass up from the very beginning. So they had to really nail Dunk. They had to really nail Egg. They really had to find people that felt like these characters, that felt like they could just fit these characters like glove. And they did. It does feel like both of these actors very much understand the characters that they're playing. I agree.
Yeah. And I mean, but I love that, as smart as Egg will turn out to be and as knowledgeable in certain areas, he still was on Dunk's horse with the with the helmet on, pretending to that's kid like, and I love when kids and
he's
shows
still a
are
kid.
kids.
Yeah,
They can't let that go. They can't always have him be the smartest guy in the room as a counterpoint to Dunk's simpleness. But yeah, let him be a kid, and it shines through. It actually makes him a better character in my eye.
Yeah, no, that was a really funny scene. It was this one, right? I don't know why this had me in tears. I don't know why I was laughing my ass off at this scene. I've been at it to my live stream video clips, but for some reason this fucking scene just got me.
Stop raping, sir.
Stop raping, sir. I don't know why that fucking scene gutted me the first time I saw it. Just so casually, just like it's so casual down in King's Landing for a rape to be going on. Hey, stop raping, sir.
Yeah. And of all the things he could have said, stop robbing.
Stop robbing, stop anything, stop raping, sir. Like, it's so common, which unfortunately it is so common in King's Landing, especially in the flea bottom parts.
Yeah, but, he probably saw his fair share of it. Yeah, so it wasn't
stop raping, sir, because he does kind of consider. He is weighing his options right after Sir Arlen dies. It's not like he just goes right for the tourney and right for I'm going to be a hedge knight. He starts to think what is the best course of action. We hear him talk about trying to maybe potentially selling the horses, but how that could lead to. And then he talks about maybe even going to King's Landing or Lannisport and joining the City Watch. Where stop raping, sir comes in. But it's interesting to see him kind of weigh his options, that, it wasn't like Hedge Knight was just his first choice. It's interesting how he settled on Hedge Knight when you kind of hear his logic. But, putting myself in Dunk's shoes, if I was Dunk, I probably would have gone to King's Landing and joined the City Watch. Like that. Right. That's probably what he's doing is way riskier, way harder.
Right.
It makes for a better story. It makes for a great underdog story. Don't get me wrong, but let's talk logically here. Most people would probably, go to the City Watch and join the Gold Cloaks. Look at the size of him. I mean, he's got some measure of training. They'd take him in the City Watch in a freaking heartbeat. He's got all of these horses, and he could sell 2 of them, have a lot of coin in his pocket, and live a rather comfortable life in King's Landing as a City Watchman. but he doesn't choose to do that.
Right. And Plumber says, it kind of reminds him that, you lose everything. If you lose in a joust, you have
That's
to
it.
ransom back your horse, you have to ransom back your armor, you lose everything.
Leave this
So,
year.
maybe he thought, well, if that does happen, he would end up in the City Watch, because I don't like he could probably do that, but he'd be walking back to Lannisport if he was going to do that. But yeah, it's a huge gamble. Yeah. And I appreciated that, and that was in the book. I thought it was like more expository, because where
they expanded it a little bit here on the show, where for sure.
Yeah, you do realize you have to ransom back your stuff, and he did. He's like, I won't need it. Or whatever. That was a good line. I thought that was a good line for him.
Yeah.
But another one where they did exposition was when the whores were explaining what a hedge knight is. It's like, oh, it's like a knight except sadder.
That's very much for the audience. Yeah.
But sometimes they do have to do that, though, because not everybody knows the world of Westeros or how things work. So it's like, in a vampire movie, you have to establish like what kills the vampires.
You got to establish the rules. You got to fucking lay out the rules, right?
Yeah, and here, and we need that sometimes. And one thing I've seen when watching other shows and stuff is people wringing their hands about, are other people going to like this? Are non-Game of Thrones fans going to like this?
Yeah.
I think there's something there for them. I absolutely do. But I really thought about that. That was one of the questions I was thinking about today, and I was like, you know what? I don't care.
Mass appeal.
I genuinely don't care if other this is made for Game of Thrones people. This is made for fans. This is made for people who know the world and like the world. If you've never seen it, or if you're new to it, I think there's a lot that will be enjoyable. I mean, the pacing is going to be definitely different because just of how the structure is. And I think we've I think you talked about it in the pre-show on Sunday. It's 6 episodes of 35 to 45 minutes length. That's fine. So, but the story itself is very short. So there's not that much to adapt without adding unnecessary things or additional things that aren't always, more is not always better. And from Hollywood, it's rarely better. The more they add, the more they make it their own. It's making it worse. And I've heard people say, well, this could have been, rather than being 6 episodes, it could have been 1 3-hour movie, or it could have been 2 hour-and-a-half movies. And yes, absolutely it could have, but it isn't. I think given what we've got, I think we've got something very, very good. And how critical I am of George Martin. I am, probably as a person, reading his stories, and I went back and read Hedge Knight and the Mystery Knight. I'm partway through that one, and his writing he's a very competent writer. I mean, as critical as I am of him for being lazy and not ever finishing Winds of Winter, he is a competent writer, and it didn't take me long to get into that cozy mode, that comfortable mode of reading, and it's an easy read. There are, every writer has things that, unless you really think they're perfect, things that like rub you the wrong way. I know George will waste heraldry and the different, the different sigils of the different houses and stuff. And that's, and for me, it's like neither here nor there. Other writers do the same thing. They have recurring things that they go back to that they love talking about. Clearly they enjoy it. It's their own self-indulgence when they write about it, because they like doing it. But this was a good book. It was a good book. And the story, I think I did text this to you, like where the story is from the book, it's perfect. It's really excellent. Some of the additions that they've added to the show externally, some it's hit and miss, but mostly hit. And all in all, the net product, I like it, man. And that's probably, I think the last time we really texted was during Pluribus, and that's why I stopped texting, because I don't like being like Debbie Downer, and it's so
Me
negative.
neither. That's why I had to stop watching it altogether. I stopped covering it. Pluribus just wasn't doing it for me.
And I did end up watching all the episodes. I did finish.
I watched it all. Yeah.
And I think I learned enough from season 1 that I'm not even interested in season 2. It's just but I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be, Debbie Downer and like, oh, everything fucking sucks. This one, I think there's a lot positive. And who one of the best castings, and even though it was a very small part, and Tenzel, who they got, the girl they got,
she's got a pretty vital part. Even, I mean, it's not like the huge part, but
in this episode,
in this episode, very small part, small appearance in this episode. But no, great. It's a great casting. If you look at, especially if you look at the graphic novel edition of The Hedge Knight, the actress that they cast to play Tanzel looks almost exactly like Mike S. Miller's rendition of her.
Okay. Yeah, she like looking at, and they changed the role a little bit, because they're not using marionettes or whatever. Like
no, they upgraded the puppets. That's for damn sure. Which is cool. I thought it was great. Like they really, I had no problem with that. I thought that was a good change.
Yeah, and I think they did it in the right way too. I mean, like having that big dragon with the torch and the flames.
But what I loved about that, and what showed me that Ira Parker like really does have an appreciation, not just for this story, but for the larger A Song of Ice and Fire lore as a whole. The fact that they threw in the play that was being displayed, Serwyn of the Mirror Shield. I was like, that's great. It's one thing to just upgrade the puppet show and make it like this giant dragon. That's cool in and of itself. But they upgraded it, and they went and grabbed something very specific from A Song of Ice and Fire lore that, many of us have read about a million times. The story from the Age of Heroes about Serwyn of the Mirror Shield, about how he faced down a dragon with nothing but a sword and a shield made of mirror, and how he crept closer and closer, and so the dragon could see nothing but its own reflection. Probably just a tale that has been told throughout the years, but it's the attention to detail that I like. How Ira didn't just throw any dragon puppet scene; he threw in some specific lore from the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that particular story is going to be, that's going to be critical to how things flesh out, and that's why I really liked her character both in the book and in this one so far, because like you said, she looked the part. Because Leah the Lovely, I thought, was ugly, and Red is ugly, like the prostitutes and stuff.
Oh yeah,
they are ugly, but this girl is pretty, man. And she's got that cute look, that kind of like, exactly as they describe it in the book. She's got like kind of like tall and dangly, too tall.
Tanzel too tall.
Girls, Tanzel too tall. But she's got that little smile, and I hope it's more sweet and innocent. I know she's got to be more worldly than, as a traveling person, she's got to be more worldly than,
than Dunk, at least. Yeah.
But she looks like she's got a sweet heart, and that's why I think Dunk was attracted to her too, because he's like, finally, here's a girl where I won't look foolish standing next to her. Exactly. I think that registered in his mind, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like the first thing that registers in his mind. He almost straight up says it to her. He's like, "Oh, you're not too tall. You're just the right height for me," he was about to say. Until he stops himself.
Right. And then she kind of challenges him. That was another cute scene. She'll like challenge him. She's like, "Too tall for what?"
Yeah.
He's like, what did he say? What was his reply? I forgot. I can't.
You're just the right size for puppets.
Oh.
Because egg saves him. Egg saves him. For puppets, right? For puppets, just the right height for puppets.
Oh my goodness!
That was like a really good scene to display the comedy of Dunk and Egg as well. Like that's what we're going to see, scenes like that throughout the series, where Dunk, gets himself in freaking mud and Egg pulls him out of it. Mm-hmm. That's their dynamic. Egg is very much the brains to Dunk's brawn, and that's Dunk the Lunk, thick as a castle wall. That's what Sir Arlen would always say about him, because he was so thick-headed. But no, I thought that was a really good scene, just giving you a small glimpse of the kind of dynamic that we're going to see throughout the whole course of the series.
Yeah, and without spoiling, it's a small role but critical, and
Critical
it is
role
like
for Tanzel. Yeah.
yeah. But super super interesting. And I know next episode. I read the episode preview of episode 2, and it
Mhm.
is basically, I think it's just the Targaryens start showing up.
Yep. Hard
Um,
salt beef. Yep.
yeah.
Mhm.
Maekar shows
Yeah, we'll
up.
meet Mykar, we'll meet a little bit more of Arion, we'll get the cash flip, the rest of the cast kind of introduced because we really, in this episode, they really kind of only focus on Dunk, Egg, Tanzel, and Sir Lionel. Those are really the 4 characters that they really focus on in this first episode that they introduce us to. Yes, we get introduced to others, but those were the really main focal points.
Right.
So yeah, episode 2 will be, I imagine, more Targaryen focused on Arion and Mykar.
Yeah. And once that happens, because right now there's no real villain. I mean, Manfred Dondarrion was a dickhead, but he wasn't really a villain. Right now, all we were worrying about is getting Dunk into the joust, into the lists.
Yeah.
And
That's the conflict for right now. There's no villain to really kind of vilify yet. That's true. Right now, the conflict is I need to enter these lists. I need to find someone that will vouch for me or Sir Arlen.
Yep. And that's one thing I really liked about this story. And I didn't read the graphic novel, but I had the illustrated version.
Mhm.
And I think they said the story itself is maybe like 89, like 90 pages. Mine, I think it was like 110 or something, maybe 120 with all the illustrations. And that's like
With
when
the illustrations,
some pages are entirely illustrated.
Yeah.
Some are
I
inset
have the
illustrated.
illustrated version. I have the one that Gary Gianni did the art on.
Mhm.
Is that the one? Because I have the one.
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah,
Oh wait,
I believe,
actually, I got
yeah,
I got the sheet here.
I got the one that the illustrated version with the Gary Gianni art that is absolutely beautiful, but it's also signed by Gary Gianni and George R. R. Martin.
Oh, nice. And that's one. Actually, I have the dust cover right here because I take the dust cover off when I read. And yeah, it is. I have the Gary Gianni version too. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean his Gary Gianni's art. Like whenever I used to read A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, Hedge Knight, Mystery Knight, anything, and whenever I used to read these stories, it was always Gary Gianni's art that I would kind of have in my mind. Like his Dunk was my Dunk, his Egg was my Egg. Those were the characters that I pictured when I was picturing this, time period of Westeros in my mind while I'm reading it. But the castings have been great. At this point, I kind of, you notice that Dunk doesn't have long hair like he does in the book, but you don't kind of really notice it at the same time too. It's like not really a factor because he does kind of act like Dunk. He does kind of look like Dunk. So I don't mind the short hair.
Right.
But yeah.
And I guess, I mean, like realistically, like when you did and this is like in real life, but for a night's vigil, like the night before you got actually dubbed, you would cut your hair short. You would do a vigil, you'd stay up all night praying, and you'd cut your hair short. So when somebody was like a freshly minted knight, it wouldn't probably be that uncommon for somebody to have their hair cut short. I mean, it probably would have been almost like a buzz cut or something, but yeah. But this guy, I mean, that I don't even hold it against the show or anything. They have to have this guy to be Dunk. It didn't matter if he's older. It doesn't matter if he's physically not exact, because I don't think it could be. I mean, I don't think they could get him to be exact.
Yeah. Well, as Haymaker says, Dunk could grow his hair long in season 2. They very much could. I mean, and when you actually see the actor Peter Claffey, like what he looks like right now when he's doing interviews, his hair is down to his shoulders. Like he's got super long hair now.
Oh wow, okay.
His hair isn't short anymore. Yeah, because this first season was filmed, a few years ago already.
Okay.
They filmed this quite a while ago. It underwent, extensive reshoots and stuff. But if you look at Peter Claffey now, his hair is freaking past his freaking shoulders now. So maybe we will see a longer hair Dunk in season 2. Maybe, who knows?
And I don't even want to spoil, but yeah, they go on an 18-month. They travel around.
There is a little bit of a time jump.
Yeah, between
Yeah.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say why, but I don't even want to, I don't even want to spoil that for somebody who isn't familiar with it. Hey, speaking
Yeah.
of which, of the people in chat, is anybody absolutely brand new to this, to Game of Thrones? Is Night of Seven Kingdoms your first experience with Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, any of that kind of stuff? If there's anybody like that, because I'd be interested in your take on it, how you see it as what would be a complete outsider. Because I mean, we're sitting here talking nuts and bolts and dropping names like
Yeah.
oh
Well,
yeah,
I
you know who that
imagine,
is. We know who that is. Oh yeah.
I imagine most of the people here are familiar with Duncan Egg, or at least Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, just based on the names I'm seeing. Most of the people here know the world.
Okay.
But yeah, but that is an interesting idea. Like, how would someone who isn't like super invested in this world, super versed in this world, how would they see this show? How would they kind of look at it? Because Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, they can kind of pull a very wide audience in because they got something for everybody, and they have those big action pieces that a lot of the audience wants. Unfortunately, sometimes people don't want smaller, just character driven stories that focus more on good writing and good acting and just a well-rounded story. Sometimes people want the spectacle, and that's totally fine. So yeah, it would be interesting to see how the general audience is going to take a show like this. Like, I don't think this will ever garner the kind of viewing numbers that Game of Thrones or even House of the Dragon ever did. It'll never be that big. But what I did read already, it's already the #1 show that is currently on HBO Max. It already passed the pit for #1 in viewership.
Okay.
So while it's not Game of Thrones big, it's certainly not tiny. People are watching.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, I think you put your finger right on it too. This won't have the spectacle. This won't have, you're not going to have the huge fantastical elements. Won't have dragons.
A little bit, like when we get to the trial at the end of the season 1, like that's going to be a pretty big spectacle moment. But those are very few and far between in Duncan Egg's story as a whole. Like, you're not going to get a whole lot of big, giant, big set battle pieces.
Right. Yeah, and it will be. It'll be a battle, but it won't even be the climactic battle of Braveheart. It'll be like the first battle you saw.
It's self-contained inside a corny ground.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's one thing I liked about that's one thing I liked about George's story, The Hedge Knight, and that I'm going to like about this series is it is so self-contained. The whole thing occurs within such a small span, such a small scope and scale. I'm like, wow, it's so cool. And they get a lot done. A lot of stuff happens. And, if I was going to be mean or critical, I'd be like, okay, a little bit of it's unbelievable, or people act in certain ways that are conducive to the plot. But that's what a story is. I mean, Dunk is a hedge knight because it's conducive to the plot and not a town guard. We are not going to watch the story of town guard Dunk,
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's part of what what a story is there's got to be something there. There's got to be a point to it. So.
Yeah, there's going to be some substance, and this is definitely going to be one of those stories that does. It's going to have good substance. Yeah, it's not going to have the giant spectacle and all the big action pieces, but if you're looking for like just a good, well-rounded, grounded story with good characters, a very rich world, and a compelling kind of storyline, then you're going to have fun with the show. And I think there's plenty of people out there that are looking for shows like that.
And I think this first episode, if I put myself in the mind of somebody who had not seen it before, I think this would be good enough to get a second viewing. Because as somebody who's unfamiliar with an IP, or if there's something that's entirely new, like Pluribus or the other ones, does the first episode earn you a second episode from me? Yeah. And I think this one did. And Pluribus got me right up until when she found the bodies in the freezer, the dead bodies in the freezer, and then they had that cliffhanger. You get that feeling like, oh my God, something's finally happening. And then you come to find out, oh my gosh, these aliens, maybe they're not as benevolent as they seem, or as innocuous.
Big shot.
No. Yeah, and I'm like, wow. And then they open the next scene. Oh yeah, no, they're super cool. We don't,
Yeah,
So there,
I mean that show is filled with plot holes from top to bottom. Pluribus is filled with plot holes, and I did a pretty extensive breakdown on like all of the plot holes too, and like this giant thread on X. And yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of plot holes in that show for me personally, and Carol's not a likable character for me
no,
personally.
I think it leaned too heavily on, and I've learned a lot of words lately, and there's terms for things that you know what they are, but then you don't know the exact one. And one that had been passed around in the world of the internet is like liminal spaces, like when you go to
Yeah,
somewhere that's empty, it's a space in between, a space that isn't exactly right. When you go to a crowded mall and there's nobody there, or an abandoned
yeah,
something,
or
places that
elevated or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
it should have people in it, or should be populated, and it isn't, and you get that eerie feeling of unstrained. And they just leaned way too heavily on that. It was Carol walking
yeah.
around in the grocery store. Oh, there's
Ugh,
Carol driving through Albuquerque with no.
gosh.
And look, man, I'm a homer. It was cool to see Albuquerque without any crackheads and schizophrenics running around trying to hit you.
Yeah.
That was weird to me. That was where the liminal creepiness got to me. It's because you didn't
Mhm.
see any lunatics running around.
You did see
Um,
your mayor cleaning up a grenade blast, though.
yes, I was like, wait a minute, that really is the mayor of Albuquerque in this show.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he was doing that. Obviously, he's a better actor than he was a mayor. But um, anyway, back to Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah. But yeah.
I closed
Um,
my Word document. There we go.
mhm.
Oh, the scene. Now, the first time I watched this is one that I liked better the second time around, was
What, the dragon scene?
the Lionel oh, this one, yeah, the one you're showing here.
Oh,
That
you're
was
talking about.
super cool. I'm just going down my notes, but yeah, here's
Oh yeah,
Tenzel.
let's get to Lionel. Let's get to Lionel because Lionel was also a very big part of this episode, and he did not disappoint. I think Lionel stole the freaking show. When it comes to episode one, Lionel was the standout, at least for me anyway. It was great meeting Dunk. It was great meeting Egg. It was great seeing a little kind of snippet of their dynamic, but seeing the dynamic developing between Dunk and Sir Lionel was the highlight of the show for me. These two characters back and forth.
Mhm.
And right off the bat, you can kind of see that Sir Lionel is seeing a little something different in Dunk that he sees in other people. And I love it right from the very beginning when he kind of calls him up to his freaking table and he's like, "Why are you in my tent? Why are you here?" And Dunk just gives him, the simplest of answers. I'm here for supper. And he just the reaction from Lionel. It's almost like it's so refreshing for Lionel to finally have like a normal conversation with somebody that isn't like afraid of him.
Mhm.
And then you get to the whole dance scene, and it's like I said this in my video, but it seemed like Lionel had been waiting for years for someone to come around that had enough balls to stomp on his foot back. Like Lionel, that's what Lionel was looking for, and you instantly see how Dunk kind of earns Lionel's respect. It's like,
Right.
okay, I've been, we even hear the actor Daniel Ings talk about in the behind the scenes, like, in this moment, he's so used to being surrounded by sycophants, and of
Right.
course, you're Sir Lionel Baratheon, the Laughing Storm. Of course, everybody around you are going to be yes men for the most part. And then here comes Dunk, who's just like a regular dude, giving it to him straight, stomping right back on his foot. And that's something that I think Lionel was looking for, a friend like that.
Yeah. And usually, I mean, almost invariably, I don't like drunk characters. I mean,
Me too. But
they,
this is a Baratheon.
yeah.
This is a Baratheon we're talking about.
The way it's set up, staghorns everywhere. It had kind of like a Russian folk aesthetic, like with the folk dance and stuff. I kind of dug it.
Mhm.
And that was a scene that grew on me. I liked it way better. The whole thing from the introduction all the way through the final scene at the table, with Lionel. I liked every aspect of it more on the
Yeah.
second viewing. The first one, I was just like, okay, blah blah blah.
Yeah, you like it. I did actually like it more on the second viewing too.
And there was more. I mean, once I was able to like get through I don't know, like the part of me that was pushing it away or whatever. I was like, okay, yeah. And what Lionel was telling them really kind of made sense, because they did have a little heart to heart when they're sitting at the table together. And when Dunk has the antler
Yeah.
crown,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
talking about what do
what
you
chance do
do?
I have?
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm hmm Yeah, I mean, you do see the beginnings and the makings of what appears to be a real friendship, like an actual real friendship, a very unlikely friendship, but a friendship nonetheless. And I think we're going to continue to see that cultivated. I mean, especially if you see the trailer for what's coming up later. I mean, you get to the tug of war scene, which looks like it's going to be a freaking blast.
Mhm.
Lionel and Dunk are going to grow closer and closer as friends, which makes it even more interesting once you get a little bit later on down in their story and how Dunk and Sir Lionel's story, where it goes, I guess you could say, which I won't spoil. But these two are going to have a very interesting road together over many, many seasons.
So that was, yeah, I definitely dug his character. And and it kind of actually, it was good to see Dunk get a break, kind of, because he had been getting crapped on quite a
Yeah.
bit. It was it was kind of funny though, right? Raymond brought him into Baratheon's tent,
It's
and
like,
then
what are you
book.
doing in my tent? He's like, someone brought me here.
Yeah.
Shit.
But Raymond like ditched him. It's like
Just ditched
bringing
him.
somebody to a party and be like, all right, catch you later, bro. Get an Uber home.
Yeah.
And then
Uh,
then he did get he got called out for like slouching. He's like, the gods made you tall.
yeah,
Be
don't
tall.
slouch in my tent. Yeah, the gods made you tall, so be tall. Like he's a Baratheon, and you very much see where Bobby B gets a little bit of his kind of personality from.
Right. And this guy's his great grandfather?
Yes, I believe.
Is it?
I believe. I gotta
Oh,
double check
go
that.
through the
Yeah,
lineage.
double check that. But yeah, I mean, it's the Baratheons are so fun. They're always so fun. Drunk characters can get annoying super fast. I agree with you there, and unless they're Admiral Wackass.
Yeah, Admiral Wackass.
Admiral Wackass, he's our favorite drunk character. But yeah, the Baratheons are always a ton of fun.
And thank you for your service, Admiral.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you here for? Supper.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's a good answer.
And that's what Lionel said. He's like,
Yeah,
it makes sense. Yeah.
It makes sense. Lionel's gonna be a fucking ton of fun, I think. And we got probably a lot of him to see, especially in season 1. He's gonna be a very main character for sure.
Yep.
But yeah, good stuff.
Another
Really
great
good
scene though, because it transitions so smoothly. Lionel was done. He was done talking. He was tired. He wanted to go do something else. And then Dunk looks up, and who does he see? Manfred walking out the door with Red and a better looking prostitute than Leah the Lovely.
Yeah.
And then that led right into getting rejected. What's it to me? We forgot. He talked about how many people. He talked about Arlen taking a wound in your father's service, and it's like we've forgotten. We brought 800 knights into the mountains or whatever, and forgot people that did more. Yeah, another one.
Yeah, we even see the flashback real quick of him actually taking that arrow into.
That would look like a bad wound too. It wasn't in a good place.
No, it was not in a good spot. Yeah, my Lord Father took 800 swords into those mountains. How is he ever going to remember, a single hedge knight? Which he's not going to. And again, Dunk is once again showing his naivete that he doesn't really quite understand how the world really works and how knighthood really works and how, in particular, the life of a hedge knight works. You don't get remembered. Your glory in battle doesn't get remembered just because you took an arrow. People lost a lot more than that, and that will never be remembered, as this guy points out. So it's, again, Dunk being thrust into this world, not fully understanding what this world is really like.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's George Martin's world, and it's so important and critical here to and for people. There's so many things that get explained overtly. This is one thing that we see it again and again. We get it drilled into our head, and I see this in I don't know if you're watching the new Spartacus show, but everything in a stratified society where there like Westeros is exactly that. It's so like a hedge knight is one like two taps of a sword on their shoulder.
You're a foot soldier, practically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they're barely more than a sellsword, and like as Dunk was saying, his next career options are banditry and beggary. But the thing is, and for him as a hedge knight, almost everybody, even the non-landed knights, are more than him. But and then there's the landed knights, but you'll find that all the way up to, you find it all the way up into the Targaryens, the kings. If you're the second son or if you're the fourth son, there's a pecking order, and that pecking order is ruthlessly enforced in almost every way here. And and worthiness of the person, it means very little. Your place in the birth order is everything. And even like at this point, probably even young Fossaway as a squire is probably higher ranking than Dunk as a hedge knight, because he's
he comes from a noble family, so maybe
the junior branch of the apple tree, but
but still royalty, but still a noble family nonetheless.
Right. And they explained it. That's why Stefan didn't hurt. Raymond said that if he'd fought Dunk, he probably would have hurt him, just because that's what Stefan likes to do. But he wouldn't hurt Raymond because they are of the same thing. So everybody gets a certain level of treatment, and like the great lords, and I think in this one, the short explanation of like the Blackfire Rebellion is the great houses still sided with the king, right? And then the smaller houses thought that they could rise more under Blackfire.
Daemon Blackfire.
So but a lot of the great houses, like the Baratheons and the Lannisters, stayed loyal. And that actually will have that'll actually have impacts in probably next season's story, right?
It will. I think it will. I imagine it will play. Even in the graphic novel version as well, like you see a whole couple pages devoted to flashing back to the Blackfire Rebellion and Daemon Blackfire in particular. So that's one thing I'm wondering. Are we going to get a flashback to the actual Blackfire Rebellion? I don't know. I feel like we've already seen the aftermath of the Blackfire Rebellion in the trailer for what's to come. The very beginning of that trailer, we see Dunk when he's young, when he's still living in King's Landing, and we see him picking apart a battlefield. He's picking horseshoes off of a horse in a battlefield. And if you look in the distance, you see King's Landing right in the background. And of course, the Battle of the Redgrass Field took place not far outside King's Landing, right around that exact same time period, which would have been around 13 years before the events of right now, which would have made Dunk that age right around the time of the Battle of the Redgrass Field. So I think that battlefield that we see Dunk pulling the horseshoe off, I think that was the aftermath of the first Blackfire Rebellion, the Battle of the Redgrass Field. I think that's what we saw. I think that's the battlefield we saw there. So I'd love to see an actual flashback of the battle itself. Or, imagine them actually casting Daemon Blackfire. Fuck, hell yeah, give me that.
That would be something. That's the thing. They talked about that particular battle more probably than they did, at least as much as the entire rebellion too, I think. And right now, and the way they're setting it in the show though, and they're just setting it as this happened 10 years past, so a lot of these guys are veterans of this war, on one side or another. And it's gonna let's see, Star said that Dunk is probably a Pisces or a Cancer.
Oof. Yeah, maybe.
Tell us
Maybe.
why. Tell us why. I'm not a horoscope guy.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
What
not
aspects?
super. I'm not super versed on horoscopes myself.
The only thing I
But
know is Libra because I am a Libra, and that's
Mhm.
just because I'm objectively correct in all things always, and it's a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. But
Yeah. And we got Red Fox. What is up, Red Fox? Good to see you as well. Welcome, welcome. Um, yeah, no, it was yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Interesting to see if we ever see some more Blackfire stuff. I'm all for it. I would love to. I'm not sure if we will, given the length of the episodes and how few of them we have. We're not working with a ton. And this is why I feel you could have done, even if you're going to do just 6 episodes, they definitely could have made these episodes a lot longer. These could have been Game of Thrones length episodes. If you did do some stuff like that, you throw some flashbacks in, you show some more of Dunk and Sir Arlen, show some flashbacks of the Blackfire Rebellion. Like there are ways to make these episodes a little bit longer than they are.
Mhm.
But I get what they're going for. This is more of a little snippet into Westeros rather than a big show. So I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, and
But there's ways.
yeah, and I go back to this on almost all of the shows that I've been watching lately. Is you like to soak in the world. They could have made it a lot
Yeah.
longer, but at
Yeah.
what cost? I think it could have been longer, but I honestly, almost every time they add things, I mean, look at House of the Dragon. I mean, the more they add to it, the worse it gets, and the more they deviate from.
Well, the House of the Dragon is messing up because they're adding shit and ignoring shit. It's one thing if they were like following the book and then adding stuff on top of that, but they're not. They're just disregarding the book and kind of doing their own thing and becoming a shit show. That was nuts. George coming out and just
Oh yeah,
laying the hammer down. George is always very subtle when it comes to his critique of Ryan Condal. Like, we've seen in some of his Not a Blog over the years, especially during from season 2 of the House of the Dragon on, that there's, sometimes George just has a certain little way of speaking
right.
where you can kind of read between the lines and you know what he's saying and it's a little dig at Condal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes they write in like non-disparagement clauses too, right? I mean, like they write those into the contract where you like, no matter what happens, you can't say anything bad about the product. That's how I feel like the Andrei Sapkowski had to do for The Witcher. Like you get like a non-disparagement clause, so you're like, it was great, everything's fine, it was great, I loved it.
Loved it.
Yeah. Wonderful.
But yeah, that was funny. That was crazy to see George just kind of come out and just let everything go. Like that was one of the craziest interviews he's ever done.
And I didn't watch it, but I heard bits and pieces, and they said that he doesn't even hand script notes to Condal anymore. They have like an intermediary.
He has to give his notes to HBO, and HBO gives George's notes to Ryan. They're not even on speaking terms.
See, and as a strong counterpoint, here's this, and this is another, and it's been a long time coming. They have a recipe. They have a good recipe. This is a good book, a good story with, a good story, and all you got to do is follow the recipe. And if you ever go to recipes.com, as I often do, you want to like find the best pulled pork recipe, the best Tex-Mex chili recipe, and you get the recipe and it's like, oh, that's a good, that's a 4.8 star out of 5. There's a good recipe. Follow the recipe and you're going to get a good result. But then you go into the comments and it's like, oh, well, I decided to change out the kidney beans for pinto beans, and I decided to instead of using chili powder, I used ground, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so you didn't follow the recipe. You made it something entirely different, and so that's not the recipe. Follow the recipe. Don't get creative. Don't throw cinnamon in there. It doesn't need cinnamon. Don't throw cloves and nutmeg. It ain't Christmas. Just fucking make chili. and this one I think they're doing so far. Again, a cautious but enthusiastic endorsement. A season of 1, episode 1. I liked it. I think it earned a second episode watch. and it ain't gonna be you know, as we already talked about, there's not gonna be those fantastical elements and the big giant things. Although everything will be smaller scale, but it's so cozy. And I don't know that I don't know that this show could bear the burden of being longer. Even though I was on Sunday, I was the guy saying more and more and more. I always want more, but I always want more at the exact same level of quality that I also want it.
Yes, of course.
I want everything. Why can't I have everything exactly how I want it always?
No, it's good. I think, I think episode 1 was a really good start. It was a pretty faithful adaptation of the beginning of the story for the most part. And Ira Parker has been, on record talking about how he's making the show for George too. Like, he wants to make this show for George. He wants George to see these characters come to life. How he wrote them. And he talks about how any notes, anything that he ever kind of writes down, he always kind of passes it by George first before he does it. And that's great. He's consulting George every step of the way for everything that they're doing on the show. So yeah, I mean, all signs point to this being a pretty faithful adaptation. Episode 1 was very faithful, and the rest of it looks like it's going to be so as well. Especially, again, that trailer showed a little too much. It showed a little bit too much. Like, you see, after this whole show is over, like after all 6 episodes have played, if you go back and you watch that trailer, I promise you, it's going to look like a recap of the entire season. That's what it's going to look like. That's what that trailer is going to look like by the time this whole season is done. Because they threw everything in that trailer. They didn't save anything. They all of it is right there. The entire plot is kind of laid out. So yeah, once this whole show is over, go back and watch that trailer again. It's like, oh shit, you're going to see just one recap.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
They put way too much in that trailer, man. Way too much. I mean, it looked great. Don't get me wrong. I fucking loved it, but I know what's coming. But they put a little too much in there.
What I would say is, I mean, if you have to watch it, and just take in what the scenes like. Okay, this happened. Okay. Don't stop and analyze. Don't figure out, okay, where is this in the plot? What is this guy doing? Because you're exactly right. If you knowing what happens is like, oh yeah, that's exactly, that exactly happens. There's still there's still questions about who's involved, about what sequence these things happen in, that kind of stuff, and leave the mystery. If you haven't already had it spoiled, or if you're not already familiar with all of the Dunk and Egg story, or at least the Hedge Knight story, don't spoil it for yourself, because I think it'll play. I mean, this one, even at a leisurely pace that's going to be stretched out to 6 episodes, it'll come to a satisfying conclusion, and I think it'll be worth it. And I think you'll be happy with yourself if you don't spoil it for yourself, because the happiness of figuring out the mystery is not going to equal out to the satisfaction of this story being completed properly. That'll be my prediction. You don't want to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun story. It's gonna be a very well-rounded and grounded story, very character-driven. But we also will. This is Game of Thrones at the end of the day, so we are going to see some of that violence towards the end, and then people who do like some action pieces, you're gonna get some of that towards the end of the season as well. This trial that the show is all building towards is going to be kind of a spectacle, quite the spectacle. But yeah, for the most part, the show is going to be very, very character driven. We're going to see these 2 phenomenal characters get developed over the course of this first season. And I think there's going to be something in this show that almost anybody can gravitate towards, whether it's just the good old-fashioned good writing and good characters, or whether it's you like a good old-fashioned underdog story. This is, at the end of the day, a very, very Westerosi underdog story. Dunk is the unders of all underdogs. Yep. And he's someone that you can't help, but you want to root for. And it's going to be interesting to see someone who is truly good at heart, truly good-natured when it comes down to it, thrust into this world where he thought all of these other knights were just exactly the same, good-natured like he is. But he's going to realize that they're not, and he's going to have to adapt and learn how to survive. But he's also going to remain true to himself and show everyone what maybe a true knight is supposed to look like. So yeah, this is going to be a really fun show. It's going to be a true underdog story that I think a lot of people are going to like.
Yeah, and those, I think George likes writing those because he did the same thing with Brienne. When somebody again, it's the like not an uncrowned king. It's the guy with the credits that didn't get the degree. It's the guy that has all the qualifications but doesn't have the official sanction. They're more idealistic and more of an ideal of a certain type than the people that are actually that thing that have all the official seals that qualify them to be that. Beautiful story. Haymaker says, I remember the old days when we got 10 episodes and a new season every year. Man, the thing is, I've been so disappointed by so many shows. I can't even. I'm almost more happy to be positive about something. Finally, everything fucking sucks. I hate to say it, but everything sucks. And it's rare now. It's not like maybe you'll find one thing a year. You might find one thing every 3 years now that's worth the time of your life. Because this is time you don't get back. When you watch a show, that's terrible. That's time of your life that's gone that you're not getting back. This is this show for me is one, and you can set your phone down. I mean, like I use my phone to take notes when I was watching it for the second time. That's why I have my little bullet points and stuff. But this one is worth your attention. This and I guess that's another good benefit of being 35 to 45 minutes. It's not going to overtax you, even if you're easily distracted or have something else to do or whatever. If you
very consumable. It's very consumable. Absolutely. Yeah.
And this is one that I will be, and believe me, man, I sail the 7 seas more than Blackbeard ever did. But I watched this live at 8:00 on Sunday. And I'm going to do the same thing next Sunday as well. This is worth it. This show has earned at least another viewing from me. And I can't see him going off the rails too much. It seems like they're staying true. And as you said, if he's making this for George, certain little inserts, I can take him or leave him, but other parts, though, man, like all in all, this is sweet. And I have a feeling that it's going to get better, and it's going to be a little more endearing as Dunk and Egg, their interpersonal dynamic increases. It's going to be more endearing because he seems like a sweet kid. Dunk seems like a good dude, just like somebody that you would want to hang out with. And in the book, he's constantly threatening Dunk or threatening Egg with a clout in the ear. I'll give you a clout in the ear. I'll do this, or I'll give you a clout in the ear if you don't. But it's that funny. I don't know. I'm sure you came up with that. You get that idle thread of violence or whatever. But it's not ever gonna. It's just what people do, but it's not. He's never gonna do it. Probably. I think he does. You won't see Egg getting clouded till season 2.
No,
clouded in the ear.
I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him getting clouded. I'll be surprised if we ever see that on the show. But who knows? We'll see.
You'll get a clout in the ear if you do this, or you're going to get a clout in the ear. Okay,
he'll threaten him to cloud him all day, but I doubt we'll ever actually see him clouding Egg. Not on the show. But no, it's off to a great start. It's nice to have, there's really not a whole lot on right now. We're patiently and desperately waiting for something from season 4. Although we did just get the episode titles for season 4 of From, which I am currently doing a video on right now. I'll have that up on the channel tomorrow. Definitely check that out. Okay. But there's not a whole lot of good TV on right now. This is definitely the best thing that's currently on. So yeah, why not give it a shot? Why not dive into Westeros and have a little different piece of Game of Thrones that's something a little different than we've ever seen before? And that's just 2 really good, endearing characters that you want to root for. And that's what we're going to get. Dunk and Egg are going to be they're going to be fun to watch. So yeah, big thank you to each and every one of you who have watched it and taken my recommendation. I very much appreciate that. Thank you, Star. Thank you.
Oh, you got the squirt.
On the squirting.
Oh.
I did not know that was coming. That is not in the book. So I
No.
promise you, if I knew that was coming, I would have warned everybody. That is not in the book. That is definitely something they made up for the show, the whole squirting bit.
Oh yeah. And
Yeah,
I was
no,
leaning. Yeah,
I
I was
could have
leaning.
I could have done without it. I mean, like I
Yeah.
get what they were going for by doing it. They're they start playing this triumphant Game of Thrones music, and then boom, it cuts to that. I get what they're going for. They're showing us that this isn't going to be Game of Thrones. This isn't going to be this big, giant, sprawling epic. This is going to be a lot dirtier, a lot muddier. So I get the metaphor that they're going there, but I feel they could have conveyed it without the squirt.
I was leaning back in my chair too, so I didn't read it properly. I thought she said, "Did you give your opinion on squiring?" I was like, "Well, squiring. You that was about right. He's about the right age to be a squire." No, the squirting. No, I was not a fan of it. Was it CGI?
Was the big CGI?
I think somebody talked about
or someone like threw something. Who knows?
Yeah, there's a practical guy. Remember, like Saturday Night Live used to do that. They'd run like a tube up somebody's sleeve, and then they'd put their hand up to their mouth and like push vegetable soup out of the.
We're talking about how the practical or digital effects of poop got made on that freaking scene. Where are we going? Yeah, I don't know if it was CGI or if it was practical.
Yeah, Red Fox is crapping on the theme song. Yeah.
Well, that was another thing. A lot of people were saying that this was like maybe Ira Parker's subtle way of like shitting on Game of Thrones, shitting on Dan and Dave, like literally shitting on the Game of Thrones intro. And I don't think that's what he was trying to do, but I get how people can kind of see maybe that subtext a little bit there. Like it's shitting on the intro, but I don't think that's what he meant.
No, I think that's taking it too far. I think that's reading more into it than it was.
It's funny.
I think, I think honestly, I think at a very, very basic level, the guy was like, we want to establish that the tone of this show is not gonna be that epic Game of Thrones kind of tone. And how do we do that? Well, we have to do something transgressive. We have to do something outrageous. And probably somebody in the writer's room was like, oh, we can have him have the theme song rise in the background and then poop
and then it cuts to Dunk pooping.
Yeah, they should have. Yeah, that one should have been left in the writer's room. It's like when people say like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's a cool, and then you don't do it, but they actually did it. But the thing is, when you're again, I mean, I understand. They're trying to set the tone. Well, what do? You do something transgressive. Ha ha ha. Wouldn't it be funny if they had him pooping? Well, okay. But then they probably workshopped, well, let's not have the pooping. Let's have something else. Let's do something else. And then they might have gotten to the point where they're like, okay, well, if we're working our way backward from the pooping, trying to figure out what we're going to add in there. Why go with a half measure? Let's just go all the way. Let's just show it. And here we are spending more time. Yeah. Like you said, spending more time talking about poop and CGI.
Yeah, exactly. And Haymaker says, why did he hide behind the tree? There was nobody around.
I don't know. Yeah, when I've been out in the forest. Yeah, I've been out in the forest. I've never done that. Never from that way. Like, I guess you hold on to the tree.
I have no idea. I've not found myself in that predicament, and I hope I never do.
I'm I'm a woodsman. Actually, that's one thing. Another thing I wanted to bring up, and is not important at all, but this show, they talk about scent, the smells and stuff that you smell, the wood smoke and the the bacon cooking outside and stuff. That one day we'll have the technology to be able to smell the things, and we don't without. I mean. Please separate my talk about smell to the poop scene. Let me separate those as far as we possibly can, because we do not want to smell that.
We don't need technology going there.
But it called to mind like camping out and being in the woods, and then looking at egg in the campfire and stuff got me thinking. That smell of wood smoke, and a lot of people don't. I mean, you take it for granted that everybody knows what it's like, even a firewood or a bonfire or campfire at some point. Not everybody does. I mean, we live in a world where some people might not have ever done that, even Boy Scouts or anything. But there's a big aspect to that. And as Duncan was traveling down and he looked at all the pavilions and the Great Lord's pavilions going up, that was another nice scene. He's walking out of the camp after talking to the seamstresses, and he's like, I'd rather, or after his interaction with Fossaway, and he's like, I'd rather be outside the camp anyway. Well, that was something different from the book, because the book, he was overlooking the camp, and it's like, I don't want to be around those guys because they're going to treat me like crap. And then even worse is the people that pity me and they're kind to me out of pity. And that could be even worse than people being overtly mean. So he finds his little tree on his own. But I just think about that when they have the blacksmith hammering and the meat guy, the butcher chopping the meat, and those worlds. And that's why I'd never like, if I could go back in time in history, I probably wouldn't, because man, you do not know what everything smelled like. Even before cars, the roads were full of horse poop, everything smelled. You know, and that's something that's never conveyed. Watching Spartacus and stuff, watching, you know, these medieval like scenes and stuff, the shows set in those times, man, you do not want to know what any of this stuff smelled like. And I gotta, that's one of my weaknesses, is when I smell something bad, I can't, like, I can eat almost anything, but just the smell of like certain stuff is just like,
no, smells, some smells can do it, that's for sure. Medieval times did not smell like roses, that's for sure.
He squats in the woods and buries it like a cat.
Eesh. Well, Wackus really liked the down-to-earth focus on what true knighthood is. The writing has come off a little too postmodern to me, but not enough to really mind. Wonder how close to the books the dialogue is. The dialogue is actually pretty close to the book in quite a lot of scenes. Like in some scenes, it's almost picked word for word from the book. There are some phrases that are maybe a little more kind of modernized a little bit or expanded compared to George's dialogue, but some of the dialogue, a good portion of the dialogue, does kind of come right off the page.
Yeah. So. And quite often word for word. And that's a good breakdown too, Admiral. And there's a lot of stuff that's word for word. Sometimes it's split between two characters. Like, for example, at the very closing of this scene, when they're looking up at the stars and stuff, Dunk just rolls over and goes to, or Egg rolls over and goes to sleep, and Dunk is having this whole interaction in his mind about the lords are in their pavilions looking up at Silk, and you're looking at the stars, and then and he says, I guess that all the luck is for us then, because we're the only ones that saw it. Well, that line was all Dunk. Egg was already rolled over.
Yeah, that was altered a bit.
But they split it into a dialogue, and that's beautiful. I loved how they did it. It was very well done. It still took almost verbatim from the book, but they split it into a dialogue between two characters. And then Egg's little smile when Dunk said that, so all the luck's, so we get all the luck or something.
Yeah. So the luck is ours alone then.
Yeah. And like when he's walking away, when Dunk is walking away after interacting with Fossaway, or no, with the seamstresses, and he's like, I'm not sad. Well, not sad enough to rise to the level of a comment or whatever. I thought that was
that was good. That was good.
Yeah, and then he continues on talking about, well, Sir Arlen said that the hedge knight is the truest form of knight.
Is the truest of knights. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. So a lot of that is for our benefit. A lot of it is from, exactly from the book. But man, they're really doing that kind of stuff well.
They are. Yeah.
And again, like I said, I hope they don't. I some of the slapstick stuff, some of the pratfalls and stuff, bumping his head and stuff. Yes, that's an element of it. I hope they don't overdo it, but I don't have any indication. I mean, I might just have unwarranted fears of getting rug pulled at, you know, you
Yeah.
get liking something up to 3 episodes and then having it turn
And
something.
then it turns to shit. Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen with this. I don't. I do have. Again, I feel like we've already seen how the whole freaking season is going to go. That trailer really did show pretty much the whole freaking story.
Yes.
You know, the only thing it didn't show is how it ends. Like, but they showed just about everything else. But again, everything we've seen from, you know, the behind the scenes stuff, listening to Ira's interviews and listening to George talk about it, the trailers, like it does look like this is going to be a pretty good and faithful adaptation all the way through. Not a good adaptation for 2 or 3 episodes and then it falls off the cliff. I think this is going to be good from start to finish.
Yeah, yep. I would say, yeah, do watch episode 1, do watch episode 2. Do not watch the trailer if you don't. I mean, the season trailer is entirely unnecessary, and it might do more harm than good because
they didn't need to put that much in.
Yeah.
They could have put half that in, and it still would have been a kick-ass trailer. I don't know why they did that, but
yeah, save yourself the surprise. Save yourself the opportunity to be surprised by something you see during the episodes, especially if you already know you're going to watch the 6 episodes. There's no point in, you know, no point in that.
Unless you've read the books and you know what's coming, and either way, whatever you prefer. But yeah.
For me, the surprise is going to be how they portray it, because I already have a vision in my mind, and I think I mentioned that on the pre-show. Like, they described Aryen's armor, like in detail in the book, and it just, for some reason, I couldn't form a mental image of what that is.
That's why I think some of the graphic novels are good. Like, if you look at the graphic novel edition of the Hedge Knight and all of these stories, like, you get a little bit more of a visual aid. On top of just the Gary Gianni art, to get a little bit of a kind of sense as to what George was going for in his descriptions.
Right. So yeah, and so it is. I mean, I'm still discovering things, and you know, they mention like the stag motif or whatever, and it's one thing to mention stag motif and everything's got a stag, you know, for the Baratheons, everything's got a stag on it, stag badge here, stag pendant there, stag, you know, whatever, everything's got this and that, and embroidered stag and painted stag and blah blah blah. Okay, great, fine, there's stags everywhere. Now I know. But when you see it, it makes a little more sense. Oh, well, he's got chandeliers in his pavilion that's made out of stag's horns. He's got giant stag horns in the back. His crown's got stag horns on it. And, you know, even for me, I was like, okay, what is the practicality of that? How will they be able to pull off a crown with stag horns? It might look stupid. It might not even look like it would work. Oh, okay. And then they did it on the show. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, and here is.
Yeah, it looks fucking great. Looks badass. And it looks like they modeled it off, some of the art from the graphic novel. You look at how Lionel's depicted in the graphic novel. His armor looks exactly like it does in the show. His crown, his antler crown, looks exactly like it does in the show. So yeah, I mean, it's very accurate. And that's the thing. You try to kind of picture these things in your head, but you never know how they're going to look on screen. But for me, having seen the graphic novels, I think I always have those images in my head, and a lot of what I see is matching the live action version. It looks really good.
Yep.
It's really good.
So God, it feels so good to be positive, man. It feels so good to be enthusiastic about something and actually anticipate something. This show, and ironically Spartacus, and not because Spartacus is great, the new one, it's just familiar. It's that it's not changing the recipe, it's not doing something different, it's giving you more of the same in the world that you like, and I'm there for it, and this one, exactly the same thing, more of the same in the world that you like. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you got me. You got me.
I'm a customer. You have my attention. You have my attention. Yeah, no, it's off to a great start. And again, it's fun to have something nice to look forward to. That's fun. That's, that we can be positive about. There hasn't been a whole lot on ever since, the last few shows that we've covered here on the channel were fun, but, it's been a little while. It's been a little while since we've had anything really good to kind of dive into, especially anything new to dive into. So yeah, there's not a whole lot on right now. Dive into A Night of the Seven Kingdoms with us and come hang out every Sunday night. I'll be doing pregame shows and after shows, and we'll be discussing the season all year. So look forward to seeing where this is going to go next.
Yeah, man, it's nice to dust off the microphone again and
man.
stream again, and something that we're both into. It's absolutely,
absolutely. I can't wait. I can't wait for Sunday. Cannot wait for Sunday to see episode 2. I got something to look forward to now. Fucking love it. And hopefully we'll have a From season 4 teaser trailer, hopefully pretty soon. But if not, again, the From season 4 episode titles have been revealed, and I am doing a full video breakdown on them right now. But you can also check out the stream that we did on last night as well, where we dive into the episode titles and what they might potentially mean for season 4 of From. So yeah, 2026 looks like it's going to be a really good year for television. We got A Night of the Seven Kingdoms off to a great start. We got From season 4 coming pretty soon. We got House of the Dragon season 3 coming this summer. Got a lot of stuff on the old calendar in 2026.
So they've given the episode titles. Have they given a release date for From?
There's been a release date, but we're not 100% sure how accurate it is. And this is the second time I've seen this release date pop up, and all of that's going to be in my video, but they're saying April 19th. That's the date that keeps popping up left and right, but it's not confirmed yet. So hopefully we'll know more soon. But one thing that somebody did point out to me, which I thought was very interesting, is that the MGM channel right now, not the app, but the actual MGM channel on TV just started a From marathon, and they're going to be playing all 3 seasons, 2 episodes every Monday night, and they're going to go through all 3 seasons. And usually when networks start doing stuff like that, by the time that marathon is done, that's usually right around when the next season is going to be starting. So you figure 15 weeks, which lines up exactly with April 20th. Okay. So it's looking like there are a lot of signs are pointing to mid-April right now, but nothing confirmed.
Yep, and that's fits into late spring, but not into early summer. So yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, that's a good extrapolation from what they're.
And I got some more, but that'll be in the video tomorrow.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a cliffhanger. Tune in tomorrow.
Tune in tomorrow to the video. Yeah. But yeah, as soon as we get anything more on From, the second we get a teaser trailer, the second we get a confirmed date from MGM Plus, you know damn well I'll be right here going live, and we'll be diving into all of it, just like we did the episode titles when those popped up yesterday. And again, shout out to Robert Saunders and Nick for finding the episode titles and throwing them in the Discord. Big shout out to you guys. But yeah,
we analyzed the episode titles in Severance and weren't even close, so I can't imagine the theory crafting on these episode titles.
Oh man, it was fun. It was actually a pretty fun theory craft. I mean, the Discord came up with some pretty interesting interpretations for some of these episode titles, and they're in the Discord there. If you guys want to check them out, hop in there and you can see the episode titles and what everybody has been discussing, and throw your theories into the mix as well. And of course, you can also throw them in the comment section of the video that I'm dropping tomorrow, diving deep into all of the episode titles and what I think some of them are referring to. But yeah, there we go, folks. 2026 off to a good start. A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is here, and it looks like it's going to be phenomenal. We got From season 4, hopefully not too far around the corner, and then House of the Dragon season 3. We got Silo's going to be returning this year. We got a lot of good shows. The Boys final season, a lot of good shows that we're going to be covering here on the channel this year. So I look forward to diving into it with each and every one of you. But that is going to do it tonight, folks. Thank you to each and every one of you, and a huge thank you to my pal Ravener for joining me on this evening. And I'm sure you'll see Ravener. I'm not sure you will. You'll see Ravener and I diving into A Song of Ice and Fire and A Night of the Seven Kingdoms on Sunday night. So come and hang out with us for some pregame shows and some after shows. We're going to be discussing every episode right after it drops, and hopefully we guys see you there.
I appreciate it. Thank you. It's been nice to, nice to talk about something nice again.
It is, right?
As I said before, yeah. And I'm super stoked. I'm super stoked for this series. And again, they're not that long, and there's not that many of them, so it won't be a burden on your
6
mind
weeks.
or your life or anything.
6
Yeah,
short
it's
weeks.
definitely worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And 6 short weeks of good, fun storytelling with some really fun, grounded characters that you just can't help but want to root for. That's what we're going to be getting here. And I think it's going to be worth it. But yeah, the second episode, Nick Who God Asks, will be Sunday. Every Sunday night will be new episodes of A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Every Sunday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. if you're on the West Coast. But yeah, every Sunday night, we will see you guys right here for a pregame show and then a following after show after the episode airs. So until next time, stay safe out there, ladies and gents. Keep those tinfoil hats on, folks, and we will see you on the next one. Cheers.
Gods. Kings. Fire. And blood. Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
The threat of war looms.